Gentlemen, good to have you here this afternoon.
Thanks, Carol.
Howard, let me start with you. You both were watching this. What do you think was the most significant response question of the press conference?
Well, you know, it's a historic day, and I thought the questions were excellent. I think the answers were both good, bad, and a little bit vague on purpose. I think
he has to be vague, though, doesn't he? A little bit?
Well, of course. And so it sort of begs the question of why to have a press conference to begin with.
Unless he wants to increase transparency, in which case he shouldn't be so vague.
And in fact, I don't really think we learned anything today that we didn't already know. There were a couple things that stood out to me. One was a comment about the unemployment rate being primarily a function of non-monetary factors. And that's sort of curious when you consider that that's one of his mandates, is to focus on bringing down the unemployment rate. Two other things which really struck me. In fact, I can still hear the howling coming from some of the Wall Street trading rooms because of his reluctance to take any responsibility for the value of the dollar and his reluctance to take any responsibility for the price of oil and other commodity prices. I don't think that he's ever heard of the carry trade, for example. And anybody who reads a newspaper knows that the dollar is now at a 30-year low, and he's talking as if it's still relatively high, and that the Treasury and the Fed is in favor of a strong dollar.
Jason, let me bring you in here because we had yesterday Tim Geithner told our president, Dan Doctoroff, the same thing. They're in favor of a strong dollar. Ben Bernanke said he's in favor of a strong dollar. Why would he say this when it so clearly isn't the case?
Because there's no alternative. You can't say, oh, you know, we're in favor of a weak dollar. Actually, just, you know, keep selling it, keep going, because that's really the incredible power that a reserve currency has, and that really helps this country fund itself. That helps it sort of continue its global dominance of an economic standpoint is huge. And to say, oh no, weaken it up, don't worry about it, would begin to really erode that even more than it already is. And as Howard said, you know, looking at that and his reaction to that was sort of like, what else could he really say?